I always tell people when you're young, go to the places that you're gonna have to rough it and that are gonna be really uncomfortable. And the trick to Tough Mudder that you have to understand is that for the obstacles, the pain or the effort only lasts for about 3 or 4 seconds.
Hello Neo Reelers, Olive here. I don't know if you follow the Tough Mudders blog. Online you might have seen this article. One man's journey from kidney donor to world's toughest mudder. That's Ben Chen. Ben is an obstacle course racer and a marathon runner. He started that right after he donated his kidney to his friend. I think a few months after. Ben and I actually went to college together. We went to Hunter College in the city. And even in college, I remember he was always really focused. And he reserved benchen.org when we were just college kids. And I was like, Ben, what do you need that for? And he said, I'm not sure yet, but I'm gonna reserve it. I'm sure in the future it will be useful. And sure enough, now you can go to benchen.org and make donations. Ben has always been very interesting, very generous, always full of new ideas and inspiring me and our friends from college. So now I'm sharing his story with you. Enjoy my interview with Ben Chen. This is New York Real. I'm Olive. Today my guest is Ben Asian Sensation Chen. You are an obstacle course runner, obstacle course racer, marathon runner, living organ donor, boxing statistician, law school graduate. The guy that everybody at work looks for when something breaks.
Yes.
On Tough Mudder's blog in July, you were featured. They had an interview with you and it was titled One Man's Journey from Kidney Donor to World's Toughest Mudder.
Right.
That's you, Ben Chen. And you're also my college buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome to New York Real.
Welcome. It's well, thank you, and I'm very flattered. I feel like you've had teachers and people studying to be astronauts and authors, people who run their own companies, and then you have me. It's like, okay.
You're too humble. Let's talk about what you have done. Do you remember how we met in college?
Yeah, absolutely. We were on the same elevator, and you were behind me, and I had a jacket on. This jacket which I had purchased at Old Navy and sewed all these patches onto.
Old Navy?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah, just got a jacket at Old Navy, and I sewed these patches onto it.
I was staring at your back. I was like, Ben Chen, Brooklyn Renegade?
Right.
I was like, excuse me, did you make your own jacket? And then you went, yeah, I did.
Right.
It was like Hunter North building, right?
Yeah, I think it was like the theater building, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know how we just became friends and you introduced me to really cool music.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the time, we didn't talk about sports or running or exercising.
No, I wasn't doing any of that.
You weren't?
No.
I wasn't either.
Uh-huh.
Why didn't we start that in our like early 20s?
You know, I think for me it was I have no idea. It was I always knew about running, and it was something that I was never into until after I ended up donating a kidney. But I remember I used to hang out with at the Caribbean Student Association at Hunter, and there were these guys that liked to go to the gym, and one of the guys said to me, "Oh, one day health will be a priority for you." And for some reason, that's always stuck with me. And it was true. One day health became a priority for me, and I just slowly started doing all this stuff.
That's already good advice.
I guess so.
Wow. Okay. So 2012 was probably a year that we were both kind of busy, and I did not hear about the kidney transplant until I read the interview of you. How did it come about?
Okay. Well, I have a friend that I met around, I think it was in 2005, and this was, I had just graduated Hunter, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next, and I went to a protest, and I met this photographer, Corky Lee, who's been documenting Asian Americans on the East Coast, events and stuff with his camera, and we got to talking, and he told me, hey, you should come to this event and listen to Dale Manami. He's the keynote speaker, and it turned out the event was the Asian American Bar Association of New York's annual dinner. And I was like, I can't afford a ticket. He's like, oh, that's okay. Just dress up and just walk in, just sneak in, tell them you're covering it for Hunter or something. Oh. And so that's what I did. And when I got there, I saw one of the lawyers, this guy. He was older. He's like, he was in his 50s, but he was different. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was like wearing one of those an outfit that was kind of like the Chinese traditional outfits. You see like in a kung fu movie.
It's like button.
Yeah. And a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. And I was like, this guy, I have to meet this guy and figure out what his deal is. And so eventually we did meet. His name is Chris. And I found out that he's been a criminal defense attorney for a long time. And he's actually somebody in the legal community that's helped a lot of Asian lawyers. And so he became my mentor. And he has diabetes. And so around 2012, he began to experience renal failure. So he was going to have to go on dialysis. And I think he did start dialysis. And he mentioned to me, well, I'm going to need a transplant. And I'm thinking about approaching the Asian bar to see if anybody in the organization is interested in getting tested. Will you support me? And I said, yeah, sure. So I thought about it. And I said, well, if I'm going to ask people to do something, it should be something that I'm willing to do.
Right.
And I went to get tested, and it turned out that we were a match. And so in May 2012, I went under the knife.
Oh my gosh. So you were like the first one to get tested for it?
I think I was. There was a story behind the testing. I did it in 2011 because that's when he found out, and that's when he told me. And I did it like in September or something. And then, so I gave them some blood, and that was it. I never heard back from the doctor or the hospital. So right before I took a trip to Guatemala to go backpacking, I had dinner with Chris, and I told him, this was in December. And I said, yeah, I went to get tested, but I never heard back from him. I guess that means we're not a match. And he said, yeah, I guess so. So I left. He goes and has a doctor's appointment for a checkup, and he mentions to the doctor, oh, my friend got tested, but he didn't hear back. And the doctor says, let me check, and opens the phone. Oh yeah, you guys are a match. So he found out that we were a match before I did. And I get back from Guatemala.
But they didn't realize that.
Yeah, until he asked. So then Chris calls me up the day after I get back from Guatemala, and he's like, so we are a match. And I said, okay, well, let's do this then.
That's amazing. I mean, a lot of people would be afraid to even get tested just in case it matches. They don't know, they have second thoughts. You never had that.
I thought about it, and it's something that I spent some time, thinking about throughout the process. And to me, it came down to, well, I have 2 healthy kidneys, and he needs 1. And I can't predict the future in terms of what's going to happen. So, if I can live on 1 kidney and I can do this thing for my friend, somebody who's helped other people, then I feel like I should do it. So that was it for me. I mean, and there were people, my friends and family, are worried about me, about why I was doing it, about whether I should do it. So I had to take all of that into account. But at the end, it was my decision. So
I have a lot of respect for you and what you've done.
Thanks.
And talking about offering value to a mentor before asking for things, that's a perfect example.
Right. Well, I don't see this as, I gave him a kidney and that's all I did. To me, I got so much out of this because back then, my primary form of exercise was taking long walks, and I think that was what I used to do.
You told me you would walk for hours, like 3-4 hours, just from Queens to Brooklyn.
I would just walk, but that was it for me in terms of exercise. I wasn't into running. I think I tried it for a period in 2009, but I just ended up with injuries, and it's just like, I don't want to do this. And I
knee pain.
Yeah, I didn't think of myself as an athlete, but I knew that once I only had one kidney, that it was time for me to really live a more healthy life in terms of what I eat, in terms of activity. So I heard of this thing called Tough Mudder, and I got some of my friends to sign up for it. And so before the operation, I made a promise to myself, this is what I'm going to do. And so a few months after the operation, I did my first Tough Mudder, which led to so many different things, and running and doing triathlons and stuff. And so to me, like, it's this thing that I had the opportunity to do opened up so many doors for me in terms of physically, mentally, and exploring new things. So I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to do it.
Wow. And you would not know before that, so you just jumped in.
No, this was kind of like the switch that just turned everything on. This opened up these whole new worlds to me, of things that I'd never thought about doing before.
I like that, the switch.
Yeah.
Everyone has a switch.
Right.
Wow. So, as someone from the outside, I've seen my friends, they talk about doing it. When I was actually talking in one of the episodes, I said I never knew about mud run. I was thinking only about mud, but I totally get it now. In Tough Mudder, it's like many different things.
Right.
And you have to crawl. Is it like, those are not even water. Like you're crawling on the antifreeze and...
You're crawling in ice. Yeah, I mean, there's one where you're like swimming through ice. There's one, you're crawling in mud.
And then you're
climbing over
bars.
walls. Yeah, there's monkey bars. Yeah, all kinds of obstacles.
I've seen a video of you. You're really good at jumping over walls. Like, I have no idea how do you climb over. I saw the girls had this little step that they could use to help.
Well, it's practice. I mean, trust me. I'm glad there's no video of the first Tough Mudder I did, because even when I decided to do it, once it came time, I wasn't that prepared. But I still had a lot of fun. And the first Tough Mudder I did, it took me and my friends over 5 hours to do it. And I remember that we were on the course. And we started talking to this couple. They had to be maybe in their 50s, right? This man and this woman. And we were, I think, maybe 3 or 4 hours in. We were like, and we talked to the couple, and we were like, wow, this is really tough. And they were like, yeah. And we were like, so what time did you start? They asked us, what time did you start? And we said, like 10 o'clock. And they kind of looked at us weird, and we were like, what time did you start? And they were like 11. And we were like, wow, like... They started an hour after us, and we had just caught up to them. So that was for us the point where we realized, yeah, we should train more for this next time. And we did. We got together as a group. We started meeting up on weekends and doing different exercises. Of you? There were, let's see, it was me, Lance, Saba, Sarah, and our friend Nelson. So there were 5 of us that day that did it, and it was scary and amazing and fun. There's nothing like the first time you do something.
Where was that the first time?
Out in Jersey, at Raceway Park. Yeah.
And I knew that was you climbing over the wall really fast, because I think the camera was actually hooked up on yourself. Was it a GoPro?
Yeah, it was my friend's GoPro. Right.
So I see you going up and down. I was like. Woo! So for us who never tried it, like the biggest thing I've done is 5Ks.
Right.
The results, I can improve it after I cured my injury. It's only 26 minutes, and I want to do better. I watch the guys, they're doing 19, 20 minute. Yeah. So with a regular Tough Mudder race, how can we train for it? Someone who's starting at first. How long do we have to prepare before?
I think that you should, I don't know. I think that it depends on what level of fitness you have coming into Tough Mudder. So like, if you're just starting from nothing, then yeah, it's going to take some time to get you prepared. I think that you should be able to run about 6 to 8 miles comfortably. even though the courses range from somewhere, I think between 13 and 10, but you're not running all 10 and 13 miles at the same time. You're running to an obstacle, there's usually going to be a line, you wait, and you rest while you're waiting to do the obstacle. And the trick to Tough Mudder that you have to understand is that for the obstacles, the pain or the effort only lasts for about 3 or 4 seconds. So if you can withstand that 3 or 4 seconds of pain, so like swimming across the ice, that's not going to last that long. So if you understand that mentally, okay, 3 or 4 seconds of pain, and then it's on to the next thing, then you're fine. So in terms of the walls and stuff, you need upper body strength. So you need to, do the push-ups, do the pull-ups. But the great thing about Tough Mudder is no matter what shape you show up in, there are going to be people that are going to help you on the course. So even if you do it by yourself or if you're with friends, there's going to be somebody at the top of the wall reaching over to pull you up, or somebody giving you a lift. And I think that's my favorite part of Tough Mudder, is helping other people, watching people help each other, because that makes it a fun thing.
Are those volunteers or people who ran before?
There are volunteers, but it's other racers a lot of the time. Other racers, because I don't even think Tough Mudder is timed anymore. I think it's not a race, it's a challenge. So you challenge yourself to do as much as you can. And at the end of the day, you can look back and say, "Oh, look what I did." So I would say, do as much as you can in terms of running and build as much upper body strength as you can, but just be careful and have fun.
Having fun is so important too.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, I think in terms of life, like it's important to have fun. Whatever you're doing.
What's a 24-hour Tough Mudder like?
So the way I got to do this last year was that I joined a meetup group because I wanted to meet other people in New York City that do Tough Mudders. And one of the co-organizers, Matt, mentioned at a meeting that he had an extra ticket to World's Toughest Mudder. And at the time, it didn't process. And then I thought about it and said, oh, wait a second. He meant that the 24-hour race that last year I was like following online to see who was going to win the men's or the women's division. And I said, oh yeah, like he had a ticket to that. And then like, can I do something like that? And I just started running marathons last year. And then moving from that to a 24-hour race seemed crazy. But I said, it's free. So I'm not paying for it. And I could just show up and see how it is. And I decided to do it. And all my friends thought I was crazy for doing it. But I decided, hey, it's free. And the other crazy thing about it was that it was a week, 2 weeks after the New York City Marathon. And I had run 2 marathons back to back, the Marine Corps in DC and then New York. And I took a week off and then I ran the 24-hour race.
Is that enough time to recover?
No, not at all. Not at all. But it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of obstacles. It was in the desert in Vegas. And so it used to be in New Jersey in December. So people were like, oh, great, it's not going to be as cold. Mm-hmm. That night of the race, it got hit by a sandstorm with 45-mile-an-hour winds. So it was actually colder in Vegas at night than it was in New Jersey. And parts of the course were getting blown away. And it was amazing to be like running this race at like 1 o'clock in the morning through a sandstorm. And you're just like, what's happening here? And you're climbing and swimming and like sand in your eyes.
Oh my gosh.
It was so much fun.
It's the world's toughest.
Yeah, it was so much fun. So much fun. It's a lot of fun.
And it's 24 hours like, is it because the course is much longer?
No, it's the course is only 5 miles. It's actually shorter than a regular Tough Mudder obstacle course, although they pack the same number of obstacles on the course. I think it's like 20 to 25. But you have 24 hours to do as many loops of the course as you can. And during that 24 hours, there's a pit area where people's tents are. So you can take a break if you want, for as long as you want.
Did you take a break?
I had to because I wasn't prepared for the cold. So after we did our 6th lap at around, I think we finished at around 1:30, 1:45. My hands were just too cold to continue. So I went into one of the tents and just sat there with a blanket on my shoulders, waiting to warm up. And I didn't warm up until the sun came up the next morning because it was so cold. I did not expect it to be that cold.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
I watched the founder of Spartan Race, Joe DeSantis. He talked about his race, like running 3 races in the same week. They were all like 100 miles.
Yeah.
Like just going through the journey from watching is amazing to know that there is almost no limit. Like when the shoes are melting, when your shirt's melting because it's too hot, you kept going.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So what's your next challenge in terms of fitness, physical?
Well, this year, in addition to running a few more marathons, and I'm doing World's Toughest again in November. So, and I started doing triathlons. So I did my first try about a month ago, the New York City try. But I'm really excited about November, about running the New York City Marathon, because this year I'm running as a charity runner for the Kidney Foundation. So
for the Kidney Foundation.
Yeah, and it's a nonprofit that does awareness in terms of how to take care of your kidneys and also about organ donation. So I'm raising money for them, and I'm really excited about that.
So what do you want to tell viewers about participating? Because I was just at the doctor's, they asked me if I'm a donor. I said, oh yes, I will donate. And they asked me, oh, so where's the proof? Like you have to actually have it on your license, and like what, like how to raise the awareness for, you know, just a regular
right.
person
well, I think the first thing that I tell people is that it's a highly personal decision.
Choice.
It's not for everybody. But you know, if you're considering it, then there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of things to consider. You know, the interesting thing is after I donated, a lot of my friends, or mutual friends between Chris and I, would come up to me and they were like, "Oh, you know, I can't believe you did something like that. I don't know if I would do it." And so it was almost like I was a priest, because people were confessing to me whether they would ever do it. I'm like, "Yeah, that's great. It's not my, you know, you don't have to tell me. I'm not here to judge you."
I can say they meant I also want to be involved, but I'm a little bit concerned and scared. Like, can you tell me more? Absolutely.
Well, the statistics out there for kidney donations, because you can live with one kidney. The other one will slowly take over 100% of your kidney function after you donate. Some people are only born with one kidney, and they never know that they only have one kidney until they'll do something like volunteer to donate, and then they're told, "Oh, you only have one." So, but statistically, I think people who only have one kidney after donating, they live healthier lives. I think because they're more aware, because you have to make the decision like, okay, now I've only got one kidney, now I've got to be more careful. I don't know much about livers. I know that they can regenerate, so you can donate a part of it, but it's something that you have to consider. Also, the recovery time is a few months. It took me a little bit while to feel 100% again. But if you're thinking about donating, you know, you can talk to doctors. You can, you know, reach out. You can talk to me if you want. I'll be happy to talk to you about my experience. But it's a really personal thing, and it's not for everybody. But if you're willing to do it, it's a great thing. I think it's something that I'm glad I did. I have no regrets about it. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and turn the clock and talk about you as a child.
Okay.
I remember in college you told me that you were almost born on a train.
Yes, I was almost born on the G train. You know, my mom and my dad, they didn't meet until pretty much until they got married. It was an arranged marriage, and you know, my mom was born and raised in Madagascar, and my dad was supposed to go there and marry my mom, but he changed his mind or just didn't show up, and then my mom's parents put her on a plane to New York City, and you know, she was just I think in her mid-20s when she came here, scared, and met this guy, and you know, it wasn't a good situation for her because she didn't have any money. She was forced to go work in a sweatshop, and then so she became pregnant with me, and when it was time for her to give birth, instead of calling an ambulance or a cab, they took the subway to the hospital, and so I was almost born on the subway.
And you mentioned in I think one of the either blog post or interview that your mom is the toughest person that you know. Yeah,
having to leave everything that she knew behind in her life in her mid-20s to come to New York City and then to be put in a situation where everything that she did was controlled by her mother-in-law. She wasn't allowed to go socialize. She had to work in a sweatshop, and she had to take care of me. And eventually, she got tired of that situation, and then she ended up getting kicked out of the house. And then she learned English, put herself through business school, got a bookkeeping degree, and became the breadwinner for her household. And so, she took so much in terms of abuse, mentally and physically, and to build herself into what she is today, and then having to raise me and my brother. Me, I was more of a troublemaker than my brother. I think, I just don't know. I haven't met anybody that's tougher than she is.
What a role model.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of resilience and in terms of dedication. And she's the kind of person that never made excuses. And she never accepted excuses from me, which is really hard at times. But that's the way she is. She's just a really, really tough person. And it's funny because if you meet her, she's less than 5 feet. But she's such a tough person.
You talk about you hurting your pinky at school. And she just basically like trained you to be really tough, and you didn't have health insurance.
Right.
So just
this happened in daycare, and I got, the boys whenever they took us to the park, we would just fight, and the people that were supposed to be watching, the adults, would just let us fight. And so one of these fights, one of the boys grabbed me and held me while this other boy took a rock and just smashed my pinky. And it was pretty, like there was a lot of blood, and it was pretty gruesome. And they called my mom. She came, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go get stitches, right? Because that's what they told me. I'm gonna need stitches. She's like, no, we're going home because we don't have health insurance. And she, changed the dressing every day, put the Chinese medicine on it just to make sure. And
alternative meds.
Yeah. She took care of me. She taught me a lot about, just being tough and about just finding other solutions to things. And And
so you said daycare is really young.
Yeah.
So then growing up, did you know what you wanted to do? You went to law school after we went to school together. Right.
Growing up, she wanted me to be some kind of a doctor, I think. And, like a lot of Chinese parents, she, as an immigrant, I think all immigrant parents want their children to be more successful than they are because they don't want their children to struggle like they had to. So she's questioned a lot of my decisions subsequently, especially my decision to work at nonprofits, because she, I think, at first didn't view those as real jobs. I think she is happy that I like to help people, but she would like to see me make more money for myself. Because she doesn't want me to struggle like she had to. So yes, I did end up going to law school, but not to be a lawyer at a firm or anything. And in fact, I'm not a lawyer now. I work at a nonprofit, and I'm perfectly happy and content with my decision. And I think she has some misgivings, although I think at this point, I'm 33 years old now. I think she's figured out that I can take care of myself. So.
And I remember you were like the only law school grad with like a mohawk.
Yes.
Remember your mohawk face?
Yes, I do remember my mohawk face. Yeah.
You were so unconventional.
Yeah, I think I used to keep my hair really short. Mm-hmm. So
it was like just like bald, no hair for like the whole college years.
And so it would grow a little bit, and I would cut it off. And I think one day I was like playing around, and I was like, oh. If I just leave the middle, it looks all right. So, but I'm in law school, and I went to law school part-time, and I had a job as a paralegal for the same place that I'm working now. And I was like, well, I don't have to like show up in court, and I think it's fine. You know, I've been at this job for a couple of years now. They're not gonna fire me because I have a mohawk. And so I decided to go with a mohawk. Yeah, and I was the only law student that had this mohawk.
I bet they were all jealous.
Maybe
they have that freedom.
Or they just probably thought it was weird. But I remember when I was during law school. I went to my boss and I was like, yeah, can you like assign me something like you would a law intern, like a writing assignment, so I can practice. And so they gave me an appeals case. So like not something that was like a memo, like go do some research and write about this area of law. It was like, we're giving you an actual like client with a case. So, and I worked really hard and writing this appeal. And I think everybody thought that we were going to lose anyway because the law wasn't on our side. But somehow we won the appeal. So I ended up winning the first appeal that our office ever won. And then whenever somebody would at the family court be like, so who wrote the appeal? They would have to be like, that guy over there with the mohawk. He's the guy that wrote the appeal.
I love that. That's such a wonderful story. They don't label people.
I guess, yeah.
Oh. Another thing I really wanted to know was about your other job as a boxing statistician.
Right, so boxing is a sport.
Statistic of how many punches anyone.
Yeah, so my job at HBO, I work for this company called CompuBox, and HBO has this program called Punch Zone, and it tracks where the punches are landing on the body. So it'll tell you this many punches landed on the left side, the right side, the chin, and then the torso. And so the way I got into that was I've always been a really big boxing fan, but they don't do as many fights in New York City as they used to. But when they do a big fight, most of the journalists who are on the West Coast will come over to New York to cover it. So I found out where all the journalists were going to be. So I went to that bar and just to hang out, because all of a sudden I have all these people to talk boxing with. And I met this guy Aris, who was at the time working for CompuBox. And we got to talking and we became friends. And then a few months later, I think, he contacted me and said, hey, we're working on this new thing and I need another guy to do it. Do you want to do it? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? They're going to pay me to watch boxing? I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. So, yeah, so whenever there's a fight, I'm sitting there watching the fight and I'm tracking where the punches are landing.
And where were you physically?
I'm watching the fight, yeah, like, and I'm tracking all the punches.
Like, right there.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And you can't blink.
Huh? Yeah, like once the fight starts, and I'm assigned a fighter, and the other operator is assigned a fighter. So sometimes I'm not even watching really the whole fight, because I'm just watching one fighter. And then after the fights, people will ask me, so who do you think won? I don't know. And
because you were focusing on only one person.
Once you're watching the fight, I'm like, I was watching one half of the fight. So I was too focused on what I was doing to really tell you.
That is true. You cannot look away.
Yeah, it's not until I get home later on and then I like actually watch the fight on television that like I have a fuller picture of actually what happened.
That is so interesting.
Right.
So, and you will mark it with pen and paper, or you have your laptop?
No, we're on laptops and we're tracking all this information and it's being entered into this graphic, and then the commentators in between rounds are getting the numbers and they're talking and also using our numbers. So,
wow,
yeah.
It has to be accurate.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, accuracy is really important. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Everything you do is so fun.
Well, I try to. I mean, there are things in life, especially as an adult, there are things that you have to do that aren't fun, like paying taxes and, signing up for health insurance and that kind of stuff. But then, there are things that you should, that you have fun doing, and you should try to do them as often as possible.
And I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
Question number 1. If you are to Skype or Google Hangout or FaceTime with a 20-year-old Ben, 20-year-old Ben.
20-year-old, wow.
What would you say to him?
My impulse is nothing. Because people always say, oh, I would give myself advice if I was younger. But at the same time, I feel like who I am now is a culmination of all the mistakes that I've made since then. And there have been a lot of mistakes. And I don't know if I would be the same person that I am today if I avoided those mistakes. And I don't even know if I could talk to myself back then, if I would listen to myself at 20 years old, you know, who's this old guy talking to me right now? Totally different mindset. Cause you know, 20, I'm trying to remember where I was at 20. I think I was back in New York City after my experience at Hobart and William Smith, which is a whole story unto itself. I'm just trying to figure out.
That's around the time we knew each other.
Right. That was around the time that we met each other. So still trying to figure out, still trying to explore. And at that point in my life, I was just going to school, working, going to a lot of concerts and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, going to a lot of.
You took me to BB King.
Yes, I remember that.
We see Common.
Yes, we saw
Common with like spinning an audience.
Right. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think that I would just tell myself probably just to be patient. I wouldn't really tell myself what was going to happen in the future. Just to be patient and that you're going to make more mistakes, but try not to hurt other people with your mistakes. I think that, you know, you're going to make mistakes in life and you're going to have things that you wish you had done. But the worst things, I think, are the ones that involve hurting other people. So I might tell myself, yeah, just try not to hurt other people with your mistakes.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
You were already Asian Sensation Chen. How did that name, where did it come from?
You know, I don't know.
You made t-shirts.
It came from me.
I got a t-shirt.
It came from me. And I think it was in response to all the other names that I've been called. Really derogatory names, especially in college. I went to school with a bunch of people, unfortunately, that had a view of how Asian people are and how, especially Asian men, and how we're pushovers and we're docile. And I wasn't, you know, the son of my mother, and having grown up in Brooklyn, that just is not me. And so there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of tension between who they thought I should be versus who I am. And so I think that for me, it's like, oh, you know, I'm the Asian sensation. Like, you call me whatever you want to call me, and this is what I'm going to call myself. And that's where that is. It's a joke. I don't take it that seriously. And I think, you know, we're all sensational, you know? And so, yes, you are. I consider you an Asian sensation because we do things, you know, that make us shine, you know? So, and when we're happy and we're doing things that are good and that are positive, you know, we're all being sensational.
It's a very confident name. I think it suits you.
Thanks.
Okay, so question number 2.
Okay.
If you are to give us any advice on the 4 areas in life, according to Ty Lopez, if we pursue these and balance them, we'll have a good life. Mm-hmm. So they are health, wealth, love, and happiness.
Health, wealth, love, and happiness. You know, I guess with health, it's never too late to decide to make health a priority. You know, in my 20s, it wasn't a priority. Even in my early 30s, it wasn't really a priority. It wasn't until, like I said, the light switch came on with the transplant that, oh, I should take care of myself better. And so it's never too late to try to start new habits. And also, you hear a lot of people that do diets or do cleanses, and that's all nice and well for the short term. But for me, it's always been about making little changes that you can hold on to over time, so life changes. And sometimes it's really hard to make a big change that'll last a long time. So if you're one of those people that's like me, just start making little things. You know, start, you know, in terms of the food that you eat. Oh, you know, I'm going to stop eating this. I'm going to replace it with this. And I'm gonna run a little bit today, or if I can't run yet, I'm gonna walk. And then once I get comfortable walking a long time, I'm gonna try to run a short time. And I think that that's really the best way to start the path towards leading a healthier life. So I'm probably the wrong person to be asking about this because I'm not rich. But it's never really been my goal to be rich. It's just, I've always just wanted to be comfortable. And I think as I've gotten older, I've realized, and maybe I realized this when I was young too, is I'd rather spend money on experiences than things. I've had a lot of great experiences. Some of them like completely free. Like the concerts I've been to in Central Park and Prospect Park. In terms of recently, I've had a lot of great experiences abroad and traveling. And so, you should save money, you should be responsible. But if you have the opportunity, travel, see the world, see as much of it as you can when you're young. I always tell people when you're young, go to the places that you're gonna have to rough it and that are gonna be really uncomfortable. That way, when you're older, you can go to the places that are, a little bit more comfortable, that you can travel more comfortably. But when you're young, your body, your spirit can take it, and you're gonna have adventures. So yeah, spend money on experiences, even local experiences if you can,
You just saw a play in Central Park, you were telling me.
Yeah, I saw Cymbeline, Shakespeare in the Park, and it's something I try to make it out to every year. And it's always interesting, even if I'm not enthralled by the play, I always appreciate at least the kind of work that they put into producing this and staging this play out in the middle of a park for free. And it's great. I think it's a great program. Love. Oh man. Again, I'm not sure if I'm the right one to talk about this. I mean, I'm divorced, so I can talk about mistakes. And I don't consider that the fact that I got married when I was young. I was like 25 when I first got married, to be a mistake. I think that the mistake for me was not recognizing that my personal issues were affecting the relationship with my wife. But I think in general advice in terms of love is it's something that you have to practice, and it's something that you have to work at. I have friends who have really bad luck when it comes to love. And I feel that it's partly because people can be passive. They think that love is going to happen. And I don't think that that's the case. I think that you have to practice it. That means you have to practice with relationships, with going out with different people. I think it's just as important to figure out what you don't like in terms of qualities in people, because it'll help you recognize what you do like. And also, I think that when it comes to love, it has to start with yourself. One of the biggest problems I had when I was younger and being married at such a young age is that when you get older, all of a sudden, you realize that you're not invincible, that you're vulnerable, and you change and you grow, and you can have a really hard time accepting that transition. And so if you have a hard time accepting yourself and loving yourself, it's going to be really hard for you to look at another person and really appreciate another person. So you really have to appreciate yourself before you can even begin to appreciate another person.
That's really good advice.
Happiness.
You're a pretty happy person.
I try to be, and this wasn't always the case. I mean, I remember my ex-wife, when we were dating, she and this was another light switch moment for me. We were like chatting online. She said, "You always act like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders." And I thought about it, like, yeah, she's right. I always like ranting about something, worried about something. This was like when I was around 22, 23, maybe even younger than that. I was like, yeah, she's right. Why do I act like that? I think, and for me, that started the transition down this path of like, why do I make the choices that I make? Why do I choose to occupy my time doing these things or thinking about these things that don't make me particularly happy? And I think that with happiness, it's a really intimate thing. Different things will make different people happy. So there's no one prescription, I think. Oh, you know, oh, go out and run, you'll be happy. But there are some people who hate running, and that's fine. Like, it's not for everybody. I think that there are people who sometimes feel that, like, oh, I shouldn't be happy about this, or, you know, everybody else is happy, why am I not happy? And it really comes down to, well, identifying what makes you happy, and that's not as easy as it seems. And
how to find your light switch.
Yeah, you have to, and that involves a lot of exploring. That involves sometimes not listening to people who will tell you, oh, don't do that, or don't try that, or you shouldn't do that, or that's scary, don't do that, or what, or sometimes even, why are you doing that? And I think that you really have to become your own, and you have to make it your own in terms of happiness. And I think that's the most satisfying kind of happiness, is like when you find something, or when you find things in your life that you enjoy. And sometimes there are things that you can't explain to other people when they're like, how do you enjoy doing this? And you're like, I don't know, but this is my thing. And so I guess that I think a big part of it is about validation. And, you know, it's good to have some validation, but you can't always look for validation. And you have to be able to validate yourself and to question yourself at the same time, think, okay, you know, like, I like this. This is good. I don't need somebody to tell me that this is good. Like, I trust myself. And I think that the less that we look for validation, the more happier we generally are.
So are you happy?
I think I'm pretty happy now. I mean, things are going pretty well. It's not to say that everything is perfect and that there aren't places where I can grow and become better. I think that life is a journey, and I think that happiness is not really a destination. It's not a point that you get to. It's a process, and it's, you know, ongoing through life. And as you grow and as you change, the process changes. Different things will make you happy. So I think it's just, happiness isn't a place. It's just it's something you practice at and you work.
It's a work ethic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you just said the process changed. I think to a lot of people, they didn't realize that, and they try to stick to one way, and then when they're not happy, they just can't get out of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to get stuck doing the same thing over and over again, and you know, and getting less and less out of it. I mean, one of the things that I just started doing recently, because I started doing triathlons, is I bought a bicycle. And I hadn't had a bicycle since I was like 12. And I started riding it. And then I decided, well, I have this bicycle. Maybe I should just ride it to work every day. And it's great. I ride my bicycle to work and then from work to home every day. And it's a lot of fun. A little bit dangerous with New York City traffic, but it's a lot of fun. I love like getting on my bike in the morning, riding to work, and you know, just, you have to be present when you're bicycling, even more so than when you're running, because running you can kind of zone out, but when you're
stop immediately.
Yeah, when you're biking, you like, there's so many things you have to be aware of, and then when while you're doing it though, like, you're just there, you're in that moment, and that's the only thing that you're thinking about is what's around you, where you're going. And to me, that's the best way to start the morning. It's just to get on this bike and get to work, and take me to so many different places. And I never thought in my mind that I would be one of those people that enjoyed cycling. So yeah, it's easy to get stuck, but it's not hard to find new things to do.
Gotta be open-minded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I told my young 2-year-old nephew, he has to try to eat everything every time it presents itself, you know. You didn't like it yesterday, but maybe you like it today.
Right, absolutely.
So my last question is, what is your absolute favorite memory of New York City? Well, you have a lot, since you were born and raised here. Yeah,
I'm a lifetime New Yorker, so I can't pick one.
But how about some? A few.
A few. Yeah, whenever I think of happiness, it involves other people in my life, and doing things with other people. So yeah, I remember that concert that we went to with Common. I remember various concerts in the city, you know, going to with my friends. I was at Dave Chappelle's block party, and that was pretty amazing. And yeah, the city has changed so much. that sometimes it's hard to hold on to memories because, you know, things aren't where they used to be. But, you know, New York City is always going to be more about an attitude, about the people that are in New York City. So I have to say that my memories, specifically, I guess, the first Tough Mudder that I did. Because doing anything for the first time, I'll never be as scared about doing a Tough Mudder as I was that time, because there were so many things that we didn't know going in, and whether we were gonna survive. We all thought that we were gonna die, I think a little bit. But the fact that we all did it together and that we all got through it, and it was such a hard thing to do. I think that's, you know, one of my favorite memories. When I did the New York City Marathon last year, and my mom was waiting for me in front of McDonald's at Greenpoint, and we took a picture together. That was a really great memory. I think that was the first time she had actually like gone to a race to cheer me on. And yeah, and then there are just random things. Like sometimes I'll walk past somewhere, and I remember one time I was running, or I was taking a long walk, and I walked past this place. And you know, when I'm cycling at night, oh yeah, like I remember cycling past this, and it was so quiet and just so nice. So it's a lot of things in my life, and I think that for me, things are always changing and getting better, and so I try not to be the kind of person that thinks like, oh, the best is behind, or those were the best. It's like, no, you know, those were great, and I love that happened, you know. But hopefully there are also great things ahead of me. So I think that a little like not knowing and just deciding, oh, I'm going to try this, or not knowing what I'm going to try next, I think, you know, keeps me focused on like, oh, let's do something else.
You're very inspiring. You're a great storyteller. I can totally see. I know which McDonald is it on Manhattan, in Greenpoint?
Yeah. Yeah, right on Greenpoint in Manhattan, right.
By that movie theater turned into Starbucks.
Right. I think I saw my first movie in that movie theater. When it was a movie theater, yeah. I think it was the Muppets movie or something. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Thank you for being my guest today.
I'm
very inspired. I hope you're writing a book, because I'll be the first one to get it.
Yeah, well, thank you for interviewing me, and thank you for being my friend for such a long time.
Yes, for over 10 years.
Right.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.